Hey, welcome back. Day 3. This is all about memorization and how I think I'm not very good at it. The way I like to talk about the brain in terms of memorization is you have to think of it like a computer processor. This is what is allowing you to do everything. And of course, we're not going to be great at everything, and then there are things that we are going to be great at. So memorization is slow for me. At least I think so. I kind of want to prove myself wrong, and that's why we're doing this. Okay, so let's have a conversation about memorization, learning material, bringing it to a rehearsal or to a show, and knowing the music inside and out, all that stuff. There are times when I have shows where I have a lot of material to learn. Numerous times where I'm expected to show up to a gig knowing 50 songs, 40 songs. So how do I memorize that? And the answer is I don't. I cheat. I have this iPad here, and I have all my charts in this little device. Now, when I show up with this monstrous thing to a show, I feel a few things. I feel really prepared. 2, I know these songs. I know the parts exactly as they are in the song. 3, I feel a little bit bad. The problem with not having all the material memorized is that when I'm on stage, I'm not able to interact with the other musicians in the way that I want to. One of the last shows I had in October with this country band, I was sitting on stage playing the songs, and I had this overwhelming feeling like I was not comfortable. I was sitting there, I was playing the grooves just fine, but I'm so worried that I'm going to miss something in the song or something's going to fall apart that I'm not truly playing the way that I want to play. One of the biggest pieces of this year-long 1,000 hours is that I really want to remove that. I want to show up on stage, I want to know the material inside and out, and I want to be able to play freely with the musicians that are on stage. I know that I can do this. It's not outside of my ability. It's just that when you have 50 songs to learn in even a few weeks' time, it's really hard to memorize all that material. So day 3 practice is really looking into some techniques that I can work on for my memorization. Now, showing up for a performance and not having the music memorized is not always the worst thing. When I'm doing musical theater, when you show up to do a musical theater show, we typically don't memorize the book. We have it in front of us, and every single musician in the pit is playing from the book. When you see an orchestra play, they don't have the orchestral repertoire memorized. They have their solo pieces memorized, but they don't have the orchestral repertoire memorized for the most part. But when you go to other concerts, you're expected to have things memorized. It really just depends on the venue, the type of music, all those things. So what can I do to help with my memorization? The first step is to actually try to memorize. It's so simple. It's so simple. All I have to do is put effort into doing that one task. The reason why I haven't been able to do it all the time with these longer, bigger programs is because there's just not enough time. But I want to try to find some techniques that I can work on where I can memorize things quickly. Step 1 for memorization is going to be all about having a relationship with the title of the song and what I'm hearing. I have to be able to immediately know how the song begins, the groove of the song, and then once I'm inside of the song, you tend to kind of get through it because it's in there, but getting started is sometimes really hard. When I'm playing with a band for a long period of time, of course I memorize the music, but when I'm doing these shows once a month, once every year, whatever it is, it's very hard for me to memorize that material. So what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to go through 10 songs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just memorize, I'm going to look at my charts first and memorize how they start and start to really think about the song title, what the song sounds like, go. For some songs this is really easy, but when you have 45 singing in front of you, not so easy. Step 2 is to actually incorporate the whole idea of memorizing things into my daily practice. For instance, this book right over here, right here, The New Breed. This book is a classic book. I have never done this book before. Many people have. Maybe you have. Wonderful. I haven't. The very first task is to memorize the first 39 systems so that when you get to the next level of playing melodies with those systems, you can actually do it. So the way I'm going to learn these systems is I'm going to think about it in groups. So for instance, the other day I did the first 11, and that made sense to me because of how the rhythms changed in number 12. Every day from then on, it's just about adding to your number. And eventually what I hope to happen is my brain catches up. The one thing I say to a lot of students is that your brain is your processor. So like this computer that I'm sitting next to that tends to crash every night, my brain tends to crash too. My processor is not as fast as somebody else's. Step 3 for memorization is to come in the next day, and the first thing I do is go through the material that I attempted to memorize and see how I've done. What are some of the challenges that you guys deal with when it comes to playing shows and learning material? What are some of the tips and tricks that you guys incorporate? I'm always a little envious of those musicians who show up and seem to know every song and they're new to the gig. That's really impressive to me. I do believe that some musicians have either been trained to or they're just naturally good at very quickly learning material. I also think it depends on what instrument you're playing. One interesting thing I've noticed about myself is that if I'm learning a song on the piano, I can memorize it much easier than on the drum set. And I think the reason why that is because of the relationship I have with harmony and melody and rhythm. My beginnings are all about melody, playing the bassoon and the saxophone. So those were the very first skills that I developed and learned. So I have a very good sense of the contour of a melody, where it's going to go, reading music notation very quickly. The drums I didn't start till I was 18. Now, while the rhythms are the same, the process of learning that material is different, and I can feel a difference. So when I learn a song with harmony, I just have a relationship with those harmony chords, the lyrics obviously, the form of the song just happens so much faster. My theory is that there are different parts of my brain at work. I don't have any proof or any knowledge if that's true, but it's just a feeling. So right now I'm going to go over to the drum set, which is right over there. And we're totally gonna kick some memorization ass today. That's what I think we're gonna do. Oh, before I let you guys go, I think the goal here is to start memorizing complex songs and then performing them for you guys. So while these videos are all about my process of exploration this first week of 1,000 hours, I think after a few weeks we're going to get into a groove, no pun intended, and things are going to start just happening. Can't wait for that to happen, because right now, whoo, my mind's all over the place.